In this video, I will be discussing breath one, what I call breath one. I haven't come across any material where they talk about this particular breath as breath one. I suspect that there are many names out there. Over the years, I've read so much about breathing, so much, in fact, that I decided to ignore some of it, hoping that intuitively I picked up enough about everything that's written about breathing that I can then rely on what I've discovered in a slightly instinctive way and then use it in a way that's constructive and useful to my singers. Right, so I've then broken it down into two breaths. In this video, I'm discussing breath one. Now, essentially, breath one is the feeling of expansion in your body as you breathe in. The sense of letting go. The sense of letting the breath make you be almost a little bigger. Letting the breath help you be wider and taller. A warning to anyone who is obsessed with a flat tummy and a six-pack. In this exercise, I'm going to encourage you to let all of those ambitions go and simply to let the tummy pop out if it's ready to do so. All right, by the way, that doesn't mean that your tummy will now always bulge, but in this exercise, we want to let go and to expand. So I'm going to stand with you, seeing me from the side. All right, and essentially what we want is, as I breathe in, remember, feel the cold air, sense the air coming through your mouth. In other words, you need to breathe slowly enough and calmly enough to feel it. I want you to have a sense that the breath expands your tummy. The in-breath leads to your tummy expanding. And I'm going to do that now as a first demonstration. I'm going to put my hand there so that you can see it expanding. All right, so you can clearly see my hand moving out and back in. As I was looking at myself in the camera, I could even see slight movement here in the back. Now, what I want to emphasize is always stand in neutral. So remember, shoulder width apart with the legs, knees straight but not locked. You should easily be able to move your knees around, hips centered over the feet. I don't talk too much about the spine because that can become quite complex, but thinking tall through the top of the head up towards the ceiling, shoulders, arms just dropping like clothes from a clothes hanger. And in that shape, in that kind of engagement with the world, do I breathe? Okay, so doing it again. Hopefully, what you can see from the side is a fairly straight, elongated line running from the middle of my hips, through my armpits, top of my shoulder, middle of my neck, through my ears, the middle of my ears, to the top of my head. Neutral posture aligns. Remember? Now, don't be obsessed with the alignment, but you want to have a sense of that neutral posture. And then in that posture, I want to feel the expansion. So be careful. Don't let the back go forward in your attempt to let the tummy bulge out. Okay? Don't let any of the hips go over. Don't lock the knees. Make sure that you're not so focused on getting the breath in that you begin to tighten, maybe pushing down with your shoulders, or in the attempt to let the mouth go, drop the neck. Okay, or perhaps in the attempt to breathe in, sometimes it gives us an upward feeling, but if we don't watch it, it maybe you can go, and that takes you out of alignment. So we want to stay in neutral. So it's quite a passive exercise to some degree. We're attempting to do less, not so easily done, but the best way to do it is to make sure that you keep feeling the breath. Remember, I think the best way to do breathing in a way where you're not over musculating, where you're not tightening any of your muscles, is by feeling that breath. Keep feeling the breath. And then see if you can feel the breath going into your chest area. And then letting that go into the tummy area. Now remember, for me, it's not, I don't want to emphasize that your tummy has to bulge out. But I do want to increase that sense of expansion, that the muscles can actually let go if your posture is good and if your breath is deep enough. All right, so again, neutral. And now I'm going to do it 5 times. Do it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always find it interesting that when I do that with a student, and here on this video I'm experiencing the same, as I count, my pitch drops a little, and I can even feel my voice becoming just a little bit rounder. And I believe that is a function of feeling the breath, calming down, letting the breath open, letting the muscles release. And I think the automatic, or the result of that, is that the sound becomes more gentler, more holistic. It helps all of these different mechanisms to function together. Let's do it again. 5 breaths. This time I'm going to face you and do it with you and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. Now, obviously, I'm going to do this in our singing lessons quite a lot, emphasizing it again and again. It's the critical starting position for singing. If your posture, if your sense of your breath, if those elements are not in place, I think maintaining a healthy singing process is so much more difficult and possibly even impossible. All right, so gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you have found it informative, and that when I say all of these things again in the future, you will kind of now have a little framework for yourself. Obviously, the framework becomes more complex. It becomes conceptually more complex, but also the point of the framework is to help you increase your awareness. And then ultimately, when we kind of slot it all into place, all of these things will happen automatically as you sing beautifully.